should understand about this strategy is that you always get price moving in either this direction, in an uptrend, this direction, in a downtrend to the downside, or price would consolidate. So we are going to have something like this. We're going to have a consolidation move, or price moving in a sideways, or price in we would have price moving in the box. So we are going to have something like this. Let me do this quickly. We are going to have something like this. Price is consolidating, creating equal lows and equal highs. So, but it is not advisable to trade when price is consolidating, unless of course you are a pro and you understand what you are doing. But we always advise that you trade when price is moving in a particular trend, either in an uptrend or in a downtrend. Now I have a video, that is the link up there. You can go and watch and learn how to properly understand market structure. It is one of the topics that I have taught separately, where I talk about bullish trend, bearish trend, and then the consolidation. So you have the uptrend, the downtrend, and the consolidation. That is one thing you should understand first of all about this strategy. Now also know that you will not get price moving in this way directly to the upside, and you will not always get price moving this way directly to the downside. The reason why I'm saying is that when price is moving up, there is a time where it needs to rest, which most people call the pullback, most people call the retest, others also call the exhaustion, and so on. Every trader and the name they've given to what that means. So you don't always get price moving to the uptrend straight in a straight direction. You don't always get price moving to the downtrend in a straight direction. That is why we do buying and selling. So once we have buyers, we need sellers. Once we have sellers, we need buyers, so we can have a safe or a healthy price action, or we can have a very good transaction. So like I said earlier, we are only going to trade this strategy when we see price moving this way, creating a series of higher highs and higher lows in an uptrend. So that is the only time we can use the break and retest strategy. And in a downtrend, we are only going to use this when we see, we're only going to use the break and retest strategy when we see price moving in this way. So what I said is we need to avoid this kind of market. We need to avoid this kind of market. So we cannot use the break and retest strategy in this market unless of course we have a healthy price action when price is moving in an uptrend, or when price is moving in a downtrend. Now we are going to have something like this. So when we have this and price pulls back, this has now become our structural high. This point has now become our structural high, or our point of value, or our key zone. So this place will now become our point of value or our key zone. So where are we going to wait for? Is this going to wait for price? Let's assume price is moving in an uptrend, okay, and then we had a pullback to the downside. We don't just enter a buy immediately. We wait for price to pull out of the structural high, come back for a retest, then we continue buying. So this is where I am going to teach you how to enter trades from here, or how to make money using the pullback. Now when price reverses into the key zone, we look for candlestick patterns around the key zone for us to take an entry. Now let's look at an example in an uptrend once again. So when price is moving this way, you see, then we wait for a pullback. You see that price is moving in an uptrend, we wait for a pullback. Price moves up, we wait for a pullback. So this is where we are going to be taking our entries at this point. This is the point where we are going to be looking for entry. So this has now become our structural high. This point has also become our structural high, this point. So immediately price breaks out, comes for a retest, then we enter a buy. Price breaks out, comes for a retest, then we enter a high. So that is how we are going to continue buying this whatever pair we are trading. Like the same thing also happens in a downtrend market. This is the only thing that can give you a healthy price action. So the same thing happens in a downtrend market or in a bearish market. So when price pulls back, move to the upside. This place has now become our structural low. This point is now our structural low. So what do we wait for? We wait for price to break out of the structural low. So we are going to have something like this. We are going to have a breakout of the structural low. You don't just continue buying immediately price does this. No, you have to wait for a breakout from the structural low. So when price breakouts of the structural low, then we would have a pullback. So at the point where we have a pullback or a retest, we have different ways each and every trader call it. Some people call it exhaustion, some people call it retest, others also call it pullback. They have different names for it depending on the kind of trader they are. I don't know why, but so when price pulls back into the point of value, then we now look for a price action. We now look for a candlestick pattern. We now look for a candlestick pattern, whatever confirmation we are looking for, then we can now continue selling. So this is what is going to be happening. You see, this is what is going to be happening in a downtrend market. Now we'll move to the chart and feel how this is done. This is just an illustration, and mind you, once the illustration is looking nice like this, does not mean that you're going to get it the same way in the market. This is just an illustration. So let's move to the chart and see if we can see an examples and some of the candlestick patterns which we are going to use as our entry. Now I also have a video on candlestick patterns. That is the link up there. You can also look at that and watch that video if you are yet to do so. And also, before we move to the chart, do well to hit on that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to this channel, and also hit on that thumbs up button and leave a comment below in the comment section. Now let's look at an example of the break and retest in an uptrend market. So here you can see that price has been moving in an uptrend, creating a series of higher highs and higher lows, and this point has now become our structural high, which is also our point of value or where our key interest will be. So once price has broken out, you will not continue buying from here immediately. We don't do that. When you do that, you will lose money. So what you have to wait for is for price to come for a retest. Now let's look at how price came back for a retest, or let's see if price will come back for a retest. So when price comes back for a retest on this same zone, that is when we are going to be looking for an entry. So you can see that price is now moving nicely. You would think that price will continue buying from here. By then, price needs to pull back from this point. So you see the pullback is happening right on our key level or our key zone. So right after the pullback has happened on the key zone, you can see this rejection candlestick. This is a candlestick pattern. Like I said, I have a video on that. You can watch that also. So this is a candlestick pattern over here. So now we immediately see this, we know that the bulls are coming back into the market. You can see that there's a, so now when it comes to the break and retest, there are patterns we look out for, not just candlestick. We also look out for some kind of rejections around that zone. So we would have to put all those things into consideration. When price got into the zone, our point of value, is there any form of rejection? Sometimes you can have like 3 or 4 candlestick rejections in that zone. Sometimes you can have a very clear candlestick pattern like this one. Like this, we have a pin buy, which means that sellers were still coming into the market, and eventually we have the bulls pushing them, or the buyers pushing them to the upside. And we already know that we are in an uptrend, so we're going to be looking for buying opportunities. So immediately price gets there and we see this rejection, then we can now take our long position, and then our SL will be a little below the zone. So this is the zone, this is our point of value. Our SL will be a little below it, then our take profit to the nearest support or resistance. So let's see if price has really triggered our take profit. So you see our take profit has been triggered nicely. You can see what happened right here. So this is how we trade the breakout and the retest. So this point is the breakout, this point here is the breakout. So this is our breakout, this is our point here, which is the breakout. This is our breakout point. This is our breakout point. I think I should just change the color. This is our breakout point. The yellow box is our breakout point. Then this is our what? Our exhaustion. this is our exhaustion, which is the pullback. The exhaustion is now the pullback. I think I should change that color also. The exhaustion is now the pullback. Then this is what has given us a confirmation. This candlestick here is what has given us a confirmation right on our point of value. So this candlestick is what has given us a confirmation right on our point of value. So immediately after that, then we can now enter the market. Also, with this strategy, you need to understand the market phases. So in the market phases, we have the continuation. That is, if it is in an uptrend, we would have something like this. We would have a continuation, exhaustion, and a continuation. So this is the kind of phases you need to understand when you are trading a breakout and a retest. So we have the continuation, the exhaustion, the continuation, then we also have another exhaustion. So it is when we enter into the exhaustion phase that we are going to be looking for our opportunity to continue buying. So when price gets into the exhaustion phase, then we can now look for opportunity to buy. So we are going to have a push or a continuation, exhaustion, continuation, exhaustion in an uptrend. That is what you have to also understand, which is the market phase. So one of the things you should understand is when the market is moving in a trend, in one particular trend, to give us a healthy price action, we also look for our exhaustion phase, or you also look for our exhaustion phase. Then we now look for an entry trigger. When price enters into the exhaustion phase, we look for an entry trigger, which is our retest. Then we also need to understand what the market phases are. So like I already explained, this is the market phases. So we have a continuation, an exhaustion, continuation, exhaustion, continuation. So we are looking at taking our trade when price gets to the exhaustion stage. Now let's look at another example of what we were doing before I talked about the market phases. So this is also another example, and we have our point of value here, or our key zone, and we also have our structural high over there. You can see price has broken out of the structural high, or price has broken out of our key zone. So what are we going to wait for? We are just going to wait for price to pull back into the key zone, then we can continue buying. So we have a continuation. So in the market phases, this will be a continuation, exhaustion. So we are going to have something like this. We are going to have, so this is our continuation, exhaustion, then another continuation. Now remember, you are not always going to get it smooth as it is. As I am explaining, you are not always going to get it like this. That's why sometimes we have other traders who use Fibonacci retracement tool, because price can just get here and the buying would continue. So unless of course we are seeing this zone on a lower time frame, but I do more of the 4-hour time frame. The lowest I go is 1 hour to look for an entry. So we can just get price moving to this point and moving to the upside, maybe on the lower time frame. But then, like I said, you are not always going to get it smooth. That is why some traders will also combine other confluences. But for now, let's concentrate on what we are talking about. Now, like I also said, when price gets into your zone, we have other patterns you can look out for. So you can look out for rejections. You can also look out for the candlestick pattern. Now, when you want to draw the zone, do not draw the zone as a line. Draw it as a zone. I also taught in one of my videos how to draw key zones perfectly. So we do not draw key zones as a line, but rather we draw it as a zone, because when you draw it as a line, price might not get into the line. But when you draw it as a zone, that is when you have a good exhaustion phase. So now let's look at what price is going to do here, because we are waiting for price to come back for an exhaustion. Then we can now look for a buying opportunity. So you can see what is happening here. You can see what is happening here. Then immediately we had this candlestick. Now when we move to the 1 hour time frame, you will see a kind of rejection. So this is one of the patterns I was talking about. See that price got into the key zone and we have rejection. So this one was rejected, this one was rejected, this one was also rejected, which is already telling me what I need to do. So immediately I see this, the next thing you would have to do is, that is on the 1 hour, okay? So the next thing you would have to do is you just have to pick out your long position, to drop it, your SL a little below the zone, then your take profit to the nearest support or resistance. So like I said, this one, the first one, I took the entry on the 4 hour. I always explain that I do most of my analysis on the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, if I get an opportunity to enter, I enter without stress. But this one, I have to move to the 1 hour time frame because price has already gotten into the zone. But then I am looking for a clear pattern that will give me the edge to enter my buy position. And this is what just happened right here. You can see the rejection. Price has started rejecting that zone. So that is what happened on this pair. Now let's look at another example. Let's see if we can get another example in a downtrend. So you can see what is happening here. Nicely, we are waiting for our take profit to be triggered. So you can see price is moving nicely and our take profit has been triggered. This is our take profit because we are taking the take profit at the nearest support or resistance. Like I said, you should always take your profit at the nearest support or resistance because these are points that price can reverse from. So this is our take profit on the breakout and the retest. This is an example of price moving towards the downside, and this is our key level. Like I explained earlier, when you're drawing the key level, you draw it as a zone and not a line. So price has broken out of the key level, and what are we going to wait for? We wait for a retest back to the key level, then we can continue. The reason why we always say you should wait for an exhaustion or a retest or a pullback is because even though price has broken out of this, can just be a fake breakout. Even though price has broken out of this, we can see that price will continue moving again to the upside. That is why it's advisable that you wait for a retest on the key zone with your confirmation pattern. Then you can take now take a trade. So we can just wait for something like this, then continuation to the downside. So we have this continuation, exhaustion and continuation, and even here you can see that immediately price broke out, we started seeing some kind of rejection, some kind of momentum loss. You can see all these candles, these are some kind of momentum loss. So what are we going to do here? Let's just wait and see if we are going to get a retest back to that zone. So you can see how price has retested the zone nicely. So this is our retest on that same zone. But when price retests the zone, we don't just start buying, we don't just start selling. You would have to wait for a confirmation, like I always say. So let's see if we are going to get a confirmation on that zone so that we can continue buying, selling from the zone. Let's see if we are going to get a very good confirmation. Now look at what just happened here. Now this is where price has started rejecting. You can see this rejection, now let's move to the 1 hour and see it clearly. This is the 1 hour, and you can see that we've started having a form of rejection on the key zone. So this is what is going to trigger my entry. This candlestick is what is going to trigger my entry. So immediately I see this, what would I then do? I just pick my short position to place it here, my stop loss a little above the zone, then my take profit to the nearest support or resistance. So my take profit will now be to the nearest support or resistance, somewhere around this area. This should be my nearest support or resistance. So I'll just wait for price to trigger my take profit, and you can see what just happened there. We had price moving directly into the take profit. You can see what is happening. Very nice. Now let's see if we can also get another example in a downtrend, and I hope that when I finish teaching this, you would have to go and backtest until you are able to get the skill. Let's move to another example. So this is it. Yeah, all right, so here too price is moving to the downside, and we have to look for our structural low, which will be our key level or our key zone. So this is going to be our key level. This point is now going to be our key level because this is our structural low. This point is now our structural low, this point. So we have our structural low somewhere around this area. So what are we going to do? We are just going to wait for price to pull back into the key zone, which will be our exhaustion phase, because we have continuation, exhaustion, continuation. We will need another exhaustion before we continue selling this pair. So let's see if price has pulled back into that zone before we take an entry. So right from here, you can see that price has entered into the zone. Now let's look for a confirmation. So we move right to the 1 hour. So at this point, if we don't get a candlestick rejection, we are going to go with the current resistance break. So at this point, even though we have some rejection, you can see that price has started losing momentum. So we have a kind of rejections here, but at this point we are going to go with the current support break. So this is our current support now, and in another video also I taught how you can use the current support and current resistance break, so you can watch that also. So this is our current resistance, this is our current support break, and immediately my short position to my SL to the top here, and my entry here, and my take profit to the nearest support or resistance. This is the nearest support or resistance, and at this point you can see that price has entered into our take profit. I know you are loving this video. I know you are also learning a lot out of it, and if you are doing right this, that click on that thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and also subscribe if you've not subscribed. Now I have the link into my Telegram channel where I drop signal, where you can take my free signals and also learn from my knowledge. If you are not part of that Telegram channel, then also hit on the link in the description below, join and be part of us. This is the end of our lesson for today. I'll see you in the next video, and bye.